Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today, we're jumping headfirst into a source that really makes you stop and think from the very first line. It opens with, "Burnout isn't real. You're just weak."
Yeah, that's definitely a statement designed to provoke, isn't it?
Yeah.
And our job here, just to be clear, is to look at this source, embrace cold strength, conquer weakness and burnout, really impartially. We want to understand the arguments, where they're coming from, even if it feels jarring.
Exactly. So get ready, everyone listening. This might challenge some things you thought you knew about burnout. What can we actually take away from such a blunt perspective? Let's unpack it. So first off, what does the author say is really going on when people say they're burned out?
Well, the core argument is that it's not really burnout in the way we usually talk about it. It's framed more as a lack of trained mental endurance. The source points to examples, these super high achievers who supposedly wake up at 4 a.m., train, work 10 hours, build a business.
Right, the whole intense schedule thing.
Exactly. And they read, plan, and still find time to get stronger mentally and physically, all without collapsing. The idea is their minds are just conditioned differently.
Okay, that's quite a different take. So how does this view handle the whole concept of burnout culture, which feels pretty mainstream?
It handles it pretty harshly, actually. The author doesn't really mince words. They call burnout culture, and this is a direct quote, a badge the weak wear to feel justified in their laziness.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So feeling exhausted isn't seen as a problem to be solved with rest necessarily, but more like the price of building something that matters,
Sure.
or even the tax on greatness.
Attacks on greatness. And there's that comparison they make too, right, about being soft.
That's right. It contrasts modern people with ancestors who supposedly went to war at 16 and built civilizations without electricity. It's suggesting a perceived decline in resilience.
A very stark contrast.
And tied into that is the idea that your brain lies,
Yeah.
that it tells you to stop, rest, quit.
And listening to it is the problem.
According to this source, yes. Listening to that voice, that lie, makes the lie stronger, not you. It feeds the perceived weakness.
Okay, so if the issue is this untrained mind and a lying brain, what's the proposed solution? This cold strength, what is that exactly?
Cold strength is presented as this inner discipline. It's not about hype or external things. It doesn't need caffeine, validation, or feelings. It's the kind of resolve that, it shows up rain or shine, motivated or depressed.
Just pure consistency.
Pretty much. Unwavering action, regardless of how you feel inside.
But they do acknowledge rest, right? It's not saying just grind yourself into dust.
No, they make a really key distinction there. The source explicitly says, I'm not saying you don't need rest. I'm saying you don't need escape.
Yeah.
The argument is that maybe what people often think is a need for a break is actually a need for purpose.
A mission.
Yeah, a reason to wake up, something driving you rather than just needing to get away from it all.
That definitely reframes the conversation. So if it's not physical exhaustion or lack of rest days, what is the ultimate root cause of this thing people call burnout, according to this source?
It really comes down to why you're working. The source claims people feel burnt out when they're working for approval, not purpose, or chasing likes instead of legacy.
So external validation versus internal drive.
Exactly. The line they use is, if you're driven by passion, energy is endless. If you're driven by pressure, you'll always feel crushed. And that crushed feeling, that's what gets mislabeled.
Which leads to that really pointed question for you, the listener. Are you tired from working or tired from avoiding the real work? So wrapping this part up, what's the source's cure then, if not a vacation?
The cure isn't a break, it's internal. It's clarity, discipline, control. It's described as a fire that doesn't need fuel because it is the fuel. An internal self-sustaining drive.
Okay. That was definitely a lot to chew on, a very challenging perspective on burnout, but certainly makes you think, doesn't it? Really pushes against common ideas.
It absolutely does. And maybe that's the value here, prompting that reflection. So a final thought for you listening. If you entertain this idea, just for a moment, this concept of an internal fire driven by purpose, how might that change how you approach feeling exhausted or overwhelmed? And what does it mean for you personally to get into the fight that this author talks about? Something to consider.